To Argentina now, where supporters of the right-wing outsider Javier Milei have been celebrating his victory in the presidential election. Mr. Milei, known as El Loco, or the Madman, pulled off a major upset. Provisional results show the self-styled anarcho-capitalist won with 55.7% of the vote, compared to 44% for his rival, Economy Minister Sergio Massa of the governing Peronis, who rapidly conceded defeat. Javier Milei has promised a new dawn for a country ravaged by debt and rocketing inflation, pledging to do away with the central bank and replace the peso with the US dollar. Donald Trump congratulated him on his victory, saying he will truly make Argentina great again. And Brazil's former President Bolsonaro said hope shines again in South America. Katie Watson reports.
For Argentina, this was a political earthquake. Javier Milei won by a wider than expected margin, and his victory sent a clear message. Argentinians wanted change.
The situation in Argentina is critical. The changes our country needs are drastic. There is no room for gradualism. There is no room for half measures.
Mr. Milei was a relative unknown until a few months ago, but his brash manner, including wielding a chainsaw at a campaign event, got him noticed. In a country where annual inflation is now over 140% and 2 in 5 Argentinians now live in poverty, a drastic new approach to fixing economic problems was a clever move.
I think this time Argentina needed a change, and that's why I bet on this new proposal. We are doing really bad as a country, and I hope Milei does not disappoint us. With this current government, we have gone from bad to worse.
But the campaign was divisive, as his rival acknowledged when he conceded defeat.
I called him, convinced that the most important thing for us Argentinians tonight is to remember that working together, dialogue and respect for peace rather than this violence is the best path we should take.
But it won't be easy for Milei. On Sunday, it was clear many are disappointed with politicians and their empty promises of change.
I'm a bit sad about the whole situation. I don't know how this will help us move the country forward. At least we are voting and exercising democracy, but I'm not happy with either candidate.
Mr. Milei has also pledged to loosen gun laws and ban abortion, and he and his vice president have repeatedly been accused of lacking respect for democracy and calling into question the official number of victims during the country's dictatorship. All told, Milei's victory has been a shock for Argentina's traditional political scene. Javier Milei said he'd deliver change for Argentina, but few understand what that will look like. One thing's clear, it'll be unlike anything that's come before. Katie Watson, BBC News.
Well, earlier I spoke to Mimi Swaby about Milei's victory.
Defying pollsters who predicted a really close result, Javier Milei has been the runaway victor with nearly 56% of the votes against his rival Sergio Massa. And this has really upheaved a political status quo which has long been dominated for decades now in Argentina by 2 main parties. Now, when Javier Milei first announced his entry into politics back in 2020, very few people thought he was serious. He suggested he would blow up the system. Yet 3 years later, this far-right libertarian radical figure, a far-right economist and former TV pundit, is now the next president of Argentina and will soon hold the keys to Casa Rosada on the 10th of December. This has been an election race with surprises, twists and turns, but this outside radical figure with a campaign full of influencers on social media, it's his combative and aggressive at times approach which has been seen as a bit of a lightning rod for angry voters at this economic crisis, and that is what has really galvanised people towards him. It's also worth noting that without a party of their own in this really polarising runoff election, the centre-right has formed a bit of an uneasy alliance with Milei, publicly backing him for this vote. And now that is thought to help have pushed him really far over this victory line in this shocking and huge win for him.
And he is promising an end to the soaring inflation and debt levels in Argentina. How does he propose to go about that?
Well, he says he's going to tackle this 143% inflation by ditching the Argentine peso, dollarizing the economy, and eliminating the central bank. He has some interesting proposals of reducing the government size, which he says is this omnipresent kind of state which has only caused people suffering throughout Argentina. He wants to get rid of the Ministry of Culture, Sport, and very controversially of women, and merge the health and education departments. Aside from economic policy, though, he's some very controversial and divisive social policies he's proposed. He wants to ban or criminalize abortion, which was only legalized in 2020, but then he also wants to legalize the free trade of human organs, as well as loosen gun laws. So he has some very interesting and polarizing propositions, but it's in the next 3 weeks before he takes office that we'll hopefully see some details for these pretty vague plans at the moment. So how he's going to do that, is he going to dollarize the economy gradually or in one hit, which would have a huge impact on the markets, or is it going to be a last minute thing when he gets into office?